Hello, and thank you for joining us in our study of Psalms. Today we are in Psalm 34. Now, this is one of those Psalms that in the headline for the Psalm that has been placed there for us, there is actually somewhat of a timestamp that goes with it, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. But this is a Psalm of David, and it focuses on David recognizing how God sees and helps the one who is righteous. And again, we'll talk just a little bit more about why that comes into play in the setting in which this psalm is written after we read it. But keep in mind that this is somewhat of a vindication in time of trouble type of psalm that is being written. So let's see what David says in Psalm 34. Beginning in verse 1, we read, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. O fear the Lord, O you his saints. There is no want to those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is the man who desires life, and loves many days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He guards all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous shall be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned. Here in Psalm 34, you have David rejoicing and reminding us of the fact that God sees the righteous, and he sees the troubles and the problems that the righteous have to deal with, and he responds accordingly. Now, in order to kind of lay everything in context, we notice that this is a psalm that centers around the righteous being in trouble. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because at the time that David writes this, David is in trouble, or at least he has been in trouble. The heading for this particular psalm is that it's a psalm of David when he pretended madness. And you read about that taking place in 1 Samuel chapter 21. There, David is going to be on the run from Saul. Saul is trying to kill him. And he actually flees to the last place anybody would think to look for David, and that is to the Philistines, and actually to the hometown of Goliath, whom he has killed. And in order to escape and in order to make it so that he survives, he comes before the king of Gath as though he is insane, as though he has lost his mind. And the king basically says, there's no glory in this for me to get revenge, as it were, this way, just let him go. And so they release David and he escapes before they realize what it is that has transpired. But it's going to be in the midst of those events and those things taking place, that these words are going to be penned by David. It's interesting to note that David speaks of himself as being the poor man who cried out, verse 6, and the Lord heard him. Remember, David is not king at this point. He is nothing more than the seventh son of a shepherd. And that's it. That's all that David really has to his name, outside of the fact that, he has been anointed as the next king, and he has had his ups and his downs with King Saul at this point, but he's not king, and he has nothing to his name. He is now on the run from the king, who is trying to kill him for crimes he did not commit. And so you have this situation where David is in trouble. But instead of expressing this mentality of woe is me, instead he is rejoicing, and he says, I will bless the Lord at all times. But let's notice a couple of other things from this psalm that David talks about. He says a little bit further down in the psalm in verse 11, Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. So what does it mean for an individual to fear the Lord? David says, I'll show you. He says it means if you really want to desire life and see good days, then you need to be one who keeps your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. You need to depart from evil and do good and seek peace and pursue it. If we truly want to be ones who are known for fearing God, our mouth has to pronounce the truth. We have to be willing to move away from evil and to do what is right, and we have to pursue and seek peace in our lives. All of those things are things that in many ways seem automatic in talking about Christianity and things of that nature, and yet all of them are also things with which many Christians struggle mightily. And yet they are tenets of us truly fearing God and putting Him first. Therefore, they are things upon which our lives must be focused, and things that we must be working toward in our fear of God, in our respect for God and who He is. The third thing I want us to notice from this particular passage is down in verse 17, where there David says that the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears, and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and saves such as have a contrite spirit. There are some people who think that if I follow God, bad things are never supposed to happen. And yet, here David says, when the bad things happen, the righteous cries out to God, and He hears. Notice he doesn't say He keeps the bad things from happening, or that bad things will never happen, but that the Lord hears when we cry out, and they do happen. He says He delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. Notice He doesn't keep them from having a broken heart. They've already had their heart broken by the circumstances and by the troubles and the problems that have come. So what does He do? He stays there with them. He heals them and He helps them. We need to be reminded that when the righteous cry out, the Lord is listening, and that it's not that the Lord has forgotten, or that the Lord has left us, or that the Lord doesn't care about us, but rather He is there to help us. He says in verse 19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. We need to be mindful of the fact that hard times are going to come in the life of Christians. Struggles and difficulties are going to be there, but we always have a place to turn. just as David was mindful of in his day. These are some of the things that I've seen in Psalm 34. There's certainly many other things that we could spend a great deal of time discussing and analyzing, but I hope that these have been beneficial to you. Next time, we'll come back and we'll begin looking at Psalm 35. I hope that you'll join us then. But until then, have a great day.